You've been lied to your entire life. But the worst part is that you've been lying to yourself too. You told yourself it wasn't your time yet, that you needed more experience, more luck, more approval. You convinced yourself that success belonged to others, to the connected, the chosen, the lucky ones. But somewhere right now, someone with less talent, less patience, less fear, is living the life you only dream about. They walk into rooms that you're afraid to enter. They get the respect you keep waiting to earn. They build the world you still hope will invite you in. You sit there, watching, scrolling, feeling that quiet ache, the one that whispers, "When is it going to be my turn?" I used to ask myself that same question. I used to explain, justify, prove to people who couldn't see value unless it wore their reflection. And then, one day, I stopped asking, because I finally understood the truth. The game was never against me. I just never learned the real rules. You were taught to be kind, to be patient, to wait for permission. But while you were learning how to be liked, others were learning how to be powerful. They studied influence, while you studied manners. They built confidence, while you built apologies. Beat, low voice. The difference between the people who have power and the ones who dream about it is understanding. Today, you'll learn 7 psychological principles, used by those who lead without asking, who move without waiting, who live without explaining. By the time this ends, you won't just think differently, you'll be different. Now type this in your mind. I'm done asking. I'm choosing. Because after today, asking will feel like betrayal. When I was younger, I thought power came from talking, from sounding smart, being fast, being noticed. But the more I spoke, the less they listened. Then I saw something that changed everything. In every room, the most powerful person was the quietest one. They didn't rush to fill the silence. They didn't fight for attention. They didn't prove they belonged. They let the noise expose everyone else. Words are currency, and most people spend themselves into poverty. Every explanation you give is a discount on your value. Every unnecessary word is free information for your enemies. Silence, on the other hand, is presence. It's not emptiness, it's dominance without effort. When you stop talking, people start hearing their own thoughts. And that silence makes them uneasy. They'll start projecting their fears onto you. They'll assume you're judging them, analyzing them, seeing through their masks. And in a way, you are. Because while they're talking, you're studying, you're collecting data, you're learning how to move next. Silence turns the room into a mirror, and everyone reveals themselves in it. The truth is simple. The one who can stay calm in silence controls the room. They don't need to shout to be heard. They don't need to beg to be seen. Next time someone tries to pull you into noise, pause. Let them speak first. Let them overexpose their intentions. And when you finally speak, make every word cut like a blade. That's power. That's leadership. That's silence used as a weapon. For most of my life, I believed that honesty meant transparency, that being open made me trustworthy, that if I shared my plans, my fears, my dreams, people would understand me, maybe even support me. I was wrong. I learned the hard way that information is power. And the moment you give it away freely, you give away control. Every detail about your life, what you want, what you fear, what you struggle with, is a piece of currency, and most people don't spend it wisely. They talk too much. They reveal too early. They think sharing equals connection. But sharing too soon just gives others the tools to use against you. Your dreams become their gossip. Your weaknesses become their leverage. Your honesty becomes your weapon, turned back at you. So I changed. I started treating my personal information like gold. Not because I had something to hide, but because I finally understood its value. The less people know about your moves, the more they have to respect your results. Mystery builds gravity. Scarcity builds worth. You've seen it yourself. The most powerful people rarely explain anything. They don't announce every step. They reveal only outcomes. People don't need to know how you do it. They just need to see that you did. That's control. Watch how the world works. In every interaction, you're either giving information or gathering it. The wise collect. The careless donate. Every conversation is an exchange of intelligence, and if you're not aware of it, you're probably losing. So before you speak, ask yourself, what am I revealing? What am I buying? Here's a truth few will tell you. You don't owe anyone access to your thoughts. Your next move is not public property. Your vision is not a group discussion. Your process is not a community project. Protect your privacy like a fortress. And remember, the less they know, the more they wonder. Let them guess. Let them assume. Let them fill in the blanks. Because curiosity builds power, and the unknown always commands more respect than what's familiar. Now, this doesn't mean isolation. It means strategy. It means understanding what to reveal and when share information intentionally, not impulsively. Be generous with results, but stingy with process. Be open with lessons, but guarded with plans. While others are busy proving themselves, you'll be studying them, listening when they think you're not, watching when they think you're distracted. People reveal everything when they feel safe, and the best way to make them feel safe is to be silent. They'll tell you what drives them, what scares them, what they want so badly they'd trade their morals for it. Just listen, and remember, knowledge isn't meant to be hoarded. It's meant to be deployed at the exact moment it creates the most impact. That's how influence works. It's not about having the loudest voice. It's about knowing something no one else does and revealing it only when it matters most. So guard your information like a king guards his crown, because once it leaves your mouth, it's no longer yours. Silence protects you. Curiosity empowers you, and information, when mastered, makes you untouchable. For years, I thought being liked was enough. If people liked me, they'd keep me around. If I was agreeable, helpful, easy to work with, I'd be safe. I was wrong. Being liked makes you replaceable. Being necessary makes you powerful. Because the truth is, people don't protect what they like. They protect what they need. I used to be the guy who said yes to everything. I stayed late. I covered for others. I avoided conflict. I told myself it was teamwork. But really, it was fear. Fear of not being accepted. Fear of standing out too much. Fear of being inconvenient. And every yes I gave was a small betrayal of my own value. Then I noticed something. The people who got promoted, trusted, respected, they weren't the nicest. They were the most useful. They solved problems no one else could. They anticipated needs before anyone else saw them. They created results that made them impossible to ignore. And that's when I understood. Niceness doesn't make you necessary. Competence does. So I made a decision. I would become so good at what I do that replacing me would cost them more than keeping me. That's the essence of power. When your absence costs more than your presence, you stop chasing approval and start commanding respect. Competence isn't built overnight, it's forged in obsession, in hours no one sees, in the boring repetitions that others avoid. It's not glamorous. It's not instantly rewarding, but it's undeniable. When you reach a level where your results speak louder than your words, you no longer have to ask for recognition. It finds you to become irreplaceable. Focus on 3 things. First, master your craft. Not at a surface level. Go deep. Learn the small details that others overlook. Study your field until you see patterns others are blind to. Second, understand your ecosystem. Know how your skill connects to others. Know what breaks the system and how to fix it. When you become the person who can see the full picture, you become the one people rely on when things fall apart. Third, anticipate needs before they arise. Don't wait for orders, Maui. See 3 moves ahead. Solve problems before they exist. That's how leaders think. Most people fear being wrong, so they never innovate. But competence isn't about being right every time. It's about being brave enough to improve what others accept as normal. That's why the competent always rise. They don't wait for permission to fix things. They just do. And the more value you create, the less people care about your personality, your opinions, your style. They care about your results. That's freedom. Because when you become irreplaceable, you no longer compete with others. You compete with your previous self. You stop chasing promotions. You start choosing partnerships. You stop begging for raises. You start setting prices. And you stop fearing rejection because your value is proven. Competence is the foundation of every other kind of power. Without it, confidence is just noise. With it, silence becomes influence. Be so good they can't ignore you. Be so effective they can't replace you. Be so precise they have to respect you, even if they don't like you. That's ruthless competence. That's freedom, built from skill. And that's how you stop being disposable and start being undeniable. 5 years ago, I made a decision that changed everything. I left stability for something uncertain, a job that didn't exist yet, a path no one around me understood. And the moment I did, the noise started. Friends called me reckless. Family called me ungrateful. Colleagues called me arrogant. They said I was throwing away everything I'd built. They said I'd regret it. They said I'd come crawling back. At first, I tried to explain. I showed them my plans, my research, my logic. I wanted them to understand, to see that I wasn't lost. I was focused. But no matter what I said, they always found a way to twist it. That's when I realized something. They didn't misunderstand me. They needed to misunderstand me. Because if they accepted the truth, that I was choosing something different, something brave, they'd have to face the fact that they never did. There are people in this world who aren't confused about you. They're committed to seeing you through the lens that keeps them comfortable. They don't want your success, because your success challenges their excuses. They don't want your clarity, because your clarity exposes their confusion. They don't want your freedom, because it reminds them of their own cage. And you can't reason with that. You can't logic someone out of a belief they never used logic to build. You can't convince a person to see your worth when they need you to be small to feel tall. The moment you start explaining yourself to people like that, you've already lost the frame, because you've accepted their version of you as the one that needs correction. Understand this: not everyone deserves access to your reasoning. Not everyone has earned the right to hear your why. When someone judges your decision without understanding your direction, let them. When they call your confidence arrogance, smile. When they gossip about your journey, let their words echo in their own small rooms. You have no obligation to defend your growth to those who choose stagnation. The right people will feel your evolution without explanation. They'll trust your vision even when they can't see it yet. They'll respect your choices even when they don't understand them. Those are your people. The rest, they'll fall away. And yes, that loss will sting. But it's the kind of pain that makes space for peace. Here's the truth. You don't owe anyone an explanation for choosing peace over drama, purpose over comfort, growth over approval. Every time you try to justify yourself, You trade your certainty for their comfort. And comfort is never worth that price. Stop trying to be understood by people who have already decided not to understand you. Their blindness is not your burden. Their limitation is not your responsibility. The ones who truly see you won't need the speech. They'll see the results. They'll feel the difference in your energy. They'll sense the shift in your presence. So the next time someone demands an explanation for your evolution, stay silent. Let your results answer for you. Because in the end, your life will speak louder than your defense ever could. The people who belong with you will grow with you. The ones who don't were never meant to come. Let them misunderstand. Let them talk. You've got better things to build. For a long time, I thought freedom meant having no rules, no schedules, no obligations, just doing whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted. It sounded like freedom, but it wasn't. It was chaos disguised as control. Because without structure, freedom doesn't last. Without systems, you become dependent on luck, on moods, on people. And that's not freedom. That's invisible slavery. Most people think they're free because no one tells them what to do. But look closer. Their emotions control them. Their bosses control their income. Their relationships control their self-worth. Their habits control their days. They call it independence. But what they really have is permission-based existence. You're free only when you can sustain yourself, mentally, emotionally, financially, spiritually, without waiting for someone else's stability to steady you. That's why systems matter. A system is anything that works without needing constant permission or motivation. It's something that keeps working even when you're tired. Build systems that produce results even when you're not in the mood. Because discipline is unreliable, but systems make discipline automatic. You don't rise to the level of your motivation, you fall to the level of your structure. When I lost everything, job, money, relationships, I realized how fragile my life was. Everything I thought was mine was actually a system owned by someone else. I was just renting stability. That was the moment I started building my own. First, I created financial systems, multiple streams of income, so no single person or company could decide my survival. Then, emotional systems, rituals that grounded me, so I didn't depend on external validation for confidence. Then, mental systems, reading, writing, reflection, to keep my mind sharp and detached from noise. A man with systems doesn't chase, he attracts, because systems create consistency, and consistency builds power. When your money keeps flowing while you rest, that's power. When your confidence stays steady regardless of who supports you, that's power. When your focus doesn't depend on motivation, that's power. Systems make you sovereign. Dependencies make you vulnerable. So build your life like a fortress. Every wall, a system. Every gate, a boundary. Every guard, a habit that protects your peace. And yes, it takes time. Building real independence always does. But the payoff is worth everything. Because when you have systems, you can walk away from anything that disrespects your worth. A job, a person, a situation, without fear. Every system you build is one less chain around your neck. Financial systems protect your time. Emotional systems protect your energy. Mental systems protect your clarity. Spiritual systems protect your purpose. Freedom isn't the absence of control. It's control designed by you. So stop waiting for someone else's plan to include you. Build your own. Because every day you spend maintaining someone else's system is a day you're not building your own empire. Systems create options. Options create power. Power creates freedom. And freedom, real freedom, means never needing permission again. This is where most people stop. They love the talk about discipline, silence, confidence. But when it comes to ruthlessness, they hesitate. They confuse it with cruelty. They think it means stepping on others. They don't understand. Strategic ruthlessness isn't about hurting people. It's about protecting the mission. 3 years ago, I had to cut someone out of my life, a friend I'd known for more than a decade. We'd built dreams together, shared everything, but somewhere along the line, our paths split. I was growing. He was staying still, and the more I moved forward, the more he pulled me backward, with complaints, distractions, negativity, fear. Every time we talked, I left drained. But I told myself, loyalty matters. So I stayed. Until one day I realized loyalty and attachment are not the same thing. One builds, the other bleeds. So I made the hardest decision I've ever made. I let him go, not in anger, in clarity. And that single act of ruthlessness bought me more peace, more focus, more growth than any motivational quote ever could. Here's the truth. If you want to rise, you have to prune. You can't carry dead weight up a mountain. Strategic ruthlessness is about removing what no longer serves your evolution. People, habits, beliefs, distractions. It's saying no when yes costs too much. It's walking away from comfort that kills your edge. It's protecting your vision from those who drain it. The weak think ruthlessness is evil. The wise know it's necessary. Because life constantly tests how serious you are. And every time you choose convenience over purpose, you fail that test. Sometimes love means distance. Sometimes kindness means silence. Sometimes peace means ending something before it poisons you. And sometimes the most ruthless thing you can do is refuse to save people who refuse to save themselves. Your time, your energy, your attention are limited resources. Every yes is a trade. Every hour given to the wrong thing is stolen from the right one. So be ruthless with what you give. Be intentional with who gets your access. Your life is not a charity for other people's comfort. This doesn't mean isolation. It means precision. It means treating your energy like a weapon, controlled, focused, effective. Because when you learn to say no to the wrong things, you create space for everything right. And here's the paradox. Strategic ruthlessness is often the purest form of compassion, not for others, for yourself. Sometimes, the kindest thing you can do is disappoint someone in the short term, so both of you can grow in the long term. Sometimes, the most loving thing you can do is walk away so they finally learn how to stand on their own. The world belongs to those who make hard decisions. The ones willing to feel temporary pain in exchange for permanent growth. The ones who can cut what must be cut without guilt, without apology, without hesitation. Because power doesn't survive without boundaries. Freedom doesn't survive without standards. And peace doesn't survive without protection. So let them call you cold. Let them call you distant. Let them say you've changed. They're right. You have. You're not available for small talk anymore. You're not accessible to mediocrity. You're not addicted to approval. You've outgrown explanations. You've outgrown weakness. You've outgrown permission. This is the end of your old self, the one that begged, explained, apologized, and the beginning of who you were always meant to be: disciplined, silent, competent, free. You don't need validation. You don't need permission. You just need precision. That's strategic ruthlessness. That's what makes you untouchable. Remember this: you are not behind. You are not late. You are not broken. You've just been trained to believe that wanting more makes you selfish, that setting boundaries makes you difficult, that being powerful makes you dangerous. Good. Be dangerous. Be difficult. Be the kind of person who forces others to rise or leave. Because the world doesn't need more people waiting. It needs people who've decided. You don't need to be louder. You just need to be the one they can't forget, even in silence.